Is that the gadgets actually showing up out here? Yeah, it is. Tech choices are very interesting this format. Don't make the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Carta Magica reached out to me and said, hey, we just had an invitational tournament out here between multiple stores and wanted to know if you would cover the event for us. I'm like, all right, you know, I'm very curious about this. So the event breakdown overall was Kashtira had 7 representatives for it. I'm not surprised about that. We also had 5 branded DESPATIE. We are no strangers to know what that deck does, right? And then, of course, we have 3 Manadium. Very, very high representation for Manadium. We had 3 Vanquish Soul decks performing. That's pretty common. Only 2 Sprite. That's very interesting. But my favorite, 3 Sprite. 2 of those Sprite decks actually topped, which is wild. We had 2 Gold Pride Punk. 2 copies of Labyrinth also showed up in top cut. And then we had Super Heavy Samurai, which when we take a look at that list here in a little bit, you're gonna get a good chuckle out of it. It's really innovative. We also had 1 hero, 1 tier elements, a Sword Sultani, a Sky Striker, and a Math Mech. So you have a large amount of representation here in the meta, a lot more than maybe you might be used to seeing, but a lot of your bases are really covered here for this. Now, our top 8 breakdown up here. We had 2 Kashtira, so 5 Kashtira players did not make it. That's a pretty horrible conversion rate, but alright. We had 2 RUNICK Live Twin Sprite variants, which, like I said, of the 3 Live Twin players, 2 of them made it, which is pretty impressive. We also had 1 Super Heavy Samurai. The only Super Heavy Samurai player in the entire tournament carried their butt all the way up to top 8. That's impressive. We also have 1 Dragon Link, 1 branded DESPATIE, and 1 Vanquish Soul in top cut. So overall, representation looking pretty strong. Let's pass on over to this deck list. Our event here was, wow, Kashtira, and what a shocker that is. This is actually the slightly more, I would say, aggressive build here, where you have the lava golems to hand over the opponent's monster. They're not going to get the chance to do anything. And is that the Dark Antlion Pendulum Exceed monster down there, the rank 7? Yes. Yes, it is. The thing that this deck gets away with is it gets to play some of the crazier little option trees out here. And honestly, Kashtira is pretty famous for the level of BS that it can actually pull out of its butt, especially for the amount of toolboxing options. And, you know, this deck also has huge amounts of numbers, so it can OTK you out of left field, you know, instead of, you know, just relying on a Rise Heart to clear the game. Also, we are citing the Dimension Shifters here, so we don't have to dedicate a heavier amount of, I guess, hand trap options. You just slam going second in some games and you just win the game overall. Second place, here's our Super Heavy Samurai list, playing gold and silver gadget. I have no idea where the innovation came from for this, but let me tell you what, this is beautiful to see, especially when you can step on into a platinum gadget or something and continue on with your extension options. Now, if they were playing something like the Sprite, you could continue to extend on through some of those lines of play, but we're not trying to get into that level of insanity. But this is actually pretty interesting. I haven't seen a lot of Super Heavy Samurai actually performing well. It's very far in between, but I think that this is a very good example of some of the things that you can do for the engines here, bring things together, and actually have it work out. So, 2 innovations, the Antlion and the gadgets actually seeing play here. I'm actually pretty impressed overall. So, good stuff here. Next up is Dragon Link. 45 cards! Okay. So, we wanted to go ahead and put in some extra little tech choice in EB. I see that we are, of course, playing triple talents, as you should be. 1 Boot Sector is fine. We're on double Lubellion, double Saronir, triple Magna Hut, and then we're on 1 Saronir in here as well. That's pretty standard. They're still relying on Droll and Lockbird for this, which is good. So many people are like, just cut the Droll this format. You know, you don't need it. Honestly, Droll stops some of the weirdest matchups that you might not really have thought would be an issue or something that you need to concern yourself with. So I think that that's something to kind of be a little bit more aware of out here. And of course, they're citing triple eradicator epidemic virus down there. They are going to make sure that they have their bases covered, and they don't want to lose to anything like, you know, the RUNICK variants that are, you know, lurking around in the lower tables. So very, very, very strong to see that this did well. So good stuff. And then, of course, fourth place here. I found one of the culprits out here. Ooh, it's Sprite Evil Twin RUNICK. So, of course, like all of the variants out here, you always see that inclusion of the triple evenly matched, because on the off chance, you know, that they start kind of turboing through or their board gets broken, they're like, oh, okay, like this is not much of a problem. You can just go ahead and evenly board break, clean things up. I see that we are playing double curry Kara, though. That's not really something that I've seen a lot of people resume playing. So that's a little interesting tech choice to kind of see here. Outside of that, you're still going to rely on the twin engine for your disruption package, your RUNICK draw package just for the insanity, and then, you know, all of your fetching utility options are usually done through the Sprite package. You gotta love when three engines can flow together and equal a entirely crazy level of synergy. I guess that's what makes this deck really, really strong. Next up here we have, hey, it's Despia. You know, I'm glad to see that this deck did, in fact, you know, get the chance to come into Top Cut. Now, this build, they're playing multi-roll in here. I had heard rumors about somebody trying out multi-roll in this deck, but from what I was seeing, a lot of other players were like, it's pretty bad. But you know what? You can try a lot of things out here and get a chance to see the results for yourself. We are playing the Gimmick Puppet plant, or the Gimmick Puppet package in the main deck here. And then we are citing the Dragon Masquerade for time here. Outside of that, this deck always feels pretty figured out, except for, you know, multi-roll. That's something cool. I mean, you also have Cross-Out Detonator in the main deck, so I feel like at this point you're just trying to counterplay as much as you can to make sure that your cards can actually resolve, because the worst thing this deck can go through is not getting a chance to play. Next up here we have Cash Money Dollar Bills, the deck. The first thing that I immediately see here was we have some interesting value lines here. We're main decking double Dark Roller, double Econ, double Lightning Storm. Okay, so this is just the 2-of deck, and we're main decking the Nightmare Corruptor Ibly in here as well. So one in the main deck, 2 more in the side deck, so you can actually access these along the way if you need to. That's kind of interesting. I haven't seen people going back to, actually, I don't think most people ever main decked Nightmare Corruptor Ibly for this. It was just straight, you know, you would side it in as you need to, or, you know, you got really crazy and you tried to play 3 of them things in this deck, but that's not really worth it at this stage in time. So either way, very, very interesting to see some more interesting value here. And then, of course, we have our Vanquish Soul deck. Unfortunately, it only made top 8, but I mean, I still think that the deck is still extremely good. Of course, you are doing the Fenrir Rise Heart package. Honestly, that package is what really holds this deck together. I'm also pretty sure that the viruses down there in the side deck are wrong, but that's fine. Just overall, things to note for this deck. It's still a very, very huge mid-range control deck. You just need to be aware that as the deck does toggle up its different lines of play, you do have to consider, like, alright, is this going to be the best? Also, side decking the TC Boo. As long as TC Boo is usually present in these lists, it's usually going to be a good coverage, in my personal opinion, for what you want to do. So, very good to see that Vanquish Soul here is still able to perform up to a little bit more acceptable of a standard here. And then our last list we're going to be looking at here is, in fact, Evil Twin Good Stuff. down here. Now, of course, this is the exact same variation idea that you saw before. Same evenly matches, same board breaking options. No Kurikaras in this list, but your whole point is you're using the consistent approach of, you know, all of the engines together to bring you victory in this duel. So, pretty easy stuff. But that's our breakdown here out of Carta Magica, the war battle out here. And I will tell you, I like what I'm seeing. I think that this is pretty interesting, and you know, I didn't think I'd see the gadgets anytime soon. So please, leave a comment about how much you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.